Welcome, everyone, to our podcast. Today, we're sitting with partners in school nutrition, diving into actionable inspiration to provide you not only ideas, but strategies for success. I'm your host, Maureen Pisanick, and I'm thrilled to explore this topic with you and with some of our school nutrition friends. Oh boy. Professional development that packs a punch. That is my alliteration of today. You all know I love a good alliteration here at Pisanick Partners. But what I also love is driving in my own lane. So as a professional development coordinator and provider for schools, we love a good culinary training session. We love writing recipes and showing nutrition facts and teaching you how to use USDA-approved software system. And I love all of the nuts and bolts that put together a great cycle menu for schools. But we know that menu cannot be well executed without the people. And so what we have found is a great partnership with the Effective Leadership Academy, who is a local group that I'm going to be so excited to chat with you about today. So I am so excited. Jake Hastings is the head of talent acquisition. I certainly love this title. And while I could go on and on about your bio, I think one of the fun facts that I want to share with folks is you are all about the people. And your goal has been really to bring joy and a spirit of whimsy and humor and levity and inspiration, and let's call it a little maybe a magic fairy dust, because you spent quite some time at one of the Cleveland's own icon, a holiday icon. Tell me a little bit about your background, and please highlight that, because I think before I met you officially, you met me when my child was having a good cry on Santa's lap.
Yeah, so I was with Kringle's Inventionasium, which is a STEM accredited tour through Kris Kringle's Toy Inventing Laboratory. So I've always been about people, and I was the hospitality director there for about 12 years. And then in tandem with that, kind of in the off-holiday season, I used to work in Westlake City Schools in their after-school extracurricular program. So I've always just been a big people person. I love to just help people really tap into what's already inside them and bring it forward. And I really appreciate you say that I bring the whimsy and the levity, because that is a huge goal of mine. Is, you know, we live in a world where people are so bogged down with everything that they've got to get done, everything that they didn't get done the day before. And we only have control over the here and now. So when I'm with people, I really want them to just take that moment, to take that extra breath and focus in on what we're doing, and then hopefully do it with a little lens of that positivity, that happiness. So, which is translated very well into my time with the Effective Leadership Academy now. So I do our head of talent acquisition. So I basically do a lot of the hiring and the training of our facilitators and our team. And so once I get to get those people and help develop them, we then go out into schools and businesses and educational agencies to try and help those people then develop their most valuable asset, which is themselves.
Yes.
And that has just always been my main goal in life, and it's our main goal at ELA. So I'm super excited to be part of an organization that feels that same way.
Oh, I love it. So another fun fact about you is that you are a part of our family here at Pisanick Partners, an extended arm of our lovely Tina Hastings. You are her son.
I am indeed.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like an extended member of the Pisanick Partner family. We've gotten to do a lot of things together over the years. And now by extension, I feel like I've added my Effective Leadership Academy family. And we've collaborated so much. It's almost like we're all a bunch of very happy in-laws now.
We are. There has been a marriage here. And I want to highlight that marriage because you were the one that introduced us to Effective Leadership Academy. We were able to, Pisanick, go and see, your team and do a little business incubator exercise as a meet and greet. And it really changed my mind about Pisanick. We love to empower folks and to give them education, but you all do such a great job. I mean, you are all well-versed in adult education and youth education around topics that are really tough, right? And so one of the things that I know our marriage has brought together this professional development series. So we are here today. We have what we call our NutriSmart Culinary, which your mama, you helped her carry in all the bags.
I did. I was here this morning schlepping things at 7 a.m.
schlepping in the kitchen, which we love that. But one of the things, we're calling it our cooking and conversation. Because again, for me, I know how to really, engineer the process of making schools hopeful and innovative in their menu. We can write those menus up. We can do video creation of them. We can do fun professional development day where people are doing hands-on training. But at the end of the day, when they leave here, there needs to be this little spark. And so what Effective Leadership Academy has done is partnered with us in these cooking and conversations. So walk me through what you did today out there in the conversation portion of our training, just so that others listening might get inspired.
Sure. So we like to be very interactive at ELA. We know that people learn best by being hands-on, by being able to have discussions, by being able to read those things for themselves. So we're always going to try and hit all of those learning modalities. And as we do that, today we were really trying to focus on that deeper dive of understanding each other as human beings. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is important that we work together. We're there to earn a paycheck. We're trying to achieve a common goal. Like in your kitchens, it's to feed these young people, to give them the nutrition that they so desperately need to then be able to function and do everything else in their lives. But in order to get that job done effectively and collaboratively, we have to take time to understand each other as human beings. We have to take time to form as humans, as individuals, to share things about our personal lives that are maybe beyond the work environment. And that's something that we see with a lot of teams that they skip over, is taking that time to get to know each other as people. How do we work best? What are the strengths that this team member is bringing to the table? But also, what are some of their weaknesses? Because we all have those areas we fall short. And if we can understand that better about our team, then we can know how to support them. We can be ready to lift them up in those areas where they fall. So today in our time in the cooking and conversations, we were really getting into that deeper dive of getting to know each other. So we did one of our favorite activities that we do in a lot of our programs called Clumps, where we get people to just mix and mingle with people that they don't typically interact with. You know, we say go to the people that are maybe not at your school, but are also nutritional professionals, or who are the people in your district that you don't interact with. And then we give them different prompts, like, what's your favorite work memory? You know, share something, a picture from your phone, something special from home, so that we can connect with you as a person. And those little bits of just taking time to be people with each other goes such a long way into making the work more productive and more effective.
I love that. I love that. I was in here doing podcast recordings, and I didn't get a chance, but I have gotten a chance to see you. And I love to see you thrive in that environment, because it is where you belong. And one of the things that sparked our interest in partnering with Effective Leadership Academy is we can give you all the resources, but it's really hard sometimes to take a kitchen who wants perhaps, the leadership or the school community, the wellness committee, or they say, hey, we want to change and we want more scratch cooking. Well, that's hard if you haven't been trained in that, if you haven't done that. So we always say that people hate change, right? And one of the things I think Effective Leadership Academy does so well is that planting the seed of encouragement that gets the chance to change the vibe, the no way vibe into the can do vibe. Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about how you engage in the educational process to really debunk the myth that change is always bad, or what can we do to embrace change differently?
For sure. And Maureen, yes, it is definitely like people do hate change.
Yeah, they do.
Because just very naturally, our human nature, but also the way that we're conditioned in society is we want to live in our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. We want to do things that we're familiar with, use the tools that we know how to use the skills that we already have in our back pocket. And then we can get things done, and we can feel accomplished and pat ourselves on the back and be like, oh, how great I am. The problem with living like that, though, is it makes us very stagnant. Mm-hmm. And our world is certainly not. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where things are constantly changing. And something that we always point out to people is that change is inevitable, but that growth has to be intentional. Mm. And that's where everything starts, from shifting that no, I can't to yes, I can. It's that growth versus that fixed mindset. Mm. A lot of our defaults is, I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't have the skills to do that. We've never done it that way before. And that boxes us in, that keeps us trapped. Yeah. But that little shift in that growth mindset, even as much as just adding the word yet to the end of those statements, we're opening ourselves to endless possibilities. Mm. I'm not smart enough yet, but I could be. I don't have those skills yet, but I can acquire them. That's not the way we've done it yet, but that might be the way that we revolutionize our entire process is. And it starts with that intention that I want to grow. I want to tap into what's already inside me and pull it out so that I'm using that potential to truly get to that next level so that not only my team is feeling like they're succeeding, but I feel like I am meeting my values and I'm meeting what I want to see come to fruition in the world. And I mean, that's one of my favorite things about being with ELA and Pisanick is my mom and I have this talk all the time is that we're so thankful that we found organizations that align with our values. And when you find something that aligns with what actually makes you happy and feel fulfilled, that's a huge step in starting that growth mindset to wanting to be even better at it.
Gosh, you just gave me the chills. And if you keep along that line, you're going to make me cry. So this isn't Oprah. Like, don't make me cry, Jake. I will say though, your background and experience and the strengths that you bring to encourage leadership. You just gave not only encouraging statements, but you gave people the words that I think they sometimes struggle. You know, like they want to say maybe, but they don't know, like they don't want to commit. They don't have the confidence there. But changing that narrative and those yet statements really are profound. Profound ways to empower people, not only to say, you know, here's the words that I know you're struggling with, and I know it's scary, and I know that you have apprehensions to change, but we'll do it together. And you're surrounded by people that want to see.
Yes.
So growth mindset, sometimes I think folks feel lonely in growth mindset, and they don't have to feel lonely. Talk a little bit about that encouraging. You know, we talk about the tip of the iceberg, you know, like I love that that picture of like, here's success. And, you know, we have programs that say, I'm successful. I have students and they love our food and everything's successful. And then instead of folks looking to them as like, wow, that's great, they don't see underneath the iceberg, the layer of the water, all of the things that got to that success. And so therefore they feel paralyzed to even put a plan into motion or maybe change that narrative into those yet statements. Like, I'm not there yet, but if I do, talk to us a little bit about how ELA really helps folks engage in those critical conversations as a professional organization to move the needle.
Yeah, and I think it really starts with, in all of our programs, we emphasize this very heavily, is we all have that potential to be a leader. Whether it is the typical leader that, you know, you're leading a group of people towards a goal, but it could also be like, you know, you leading by example in your community with that positivity, with that kindness, with that growth mindset. And it can even be the microcosm of just you leading yourself sometimes. And you know how you said sometimes people do feel a little isolated and disconnected from others, but we need to remember that everything starts with us as that individual. We have to decide that, again, I'm going to get out of that comfort zone, that I want to reach that next level. So as we try and guide people through that, through those things that they need to do as a leader, whether it's leading a whole group or just leading ourselves, it really starts with those building blocks like that growth mindset. And then going beyond that is, it's so important that we take time as individuals to learn how we work as an individual. We constantly are telling our participants, you've got to take that journey of self-discovery. You need to understand, what do you value? How do you work? How do you interact with the people around you? And once we understand that more for ourselves, we can then ask our team to give it to us. And then we can even take it that step further and start to recognize, what does our team need? What are the perspectives that they are seeing? What are the challenges that they are facing that I can be there to support them? So it really starts within ourselves, that we have to, again, be the ones that I'm going to break out of this comfort zone. Even if the people around me are not ready to, I'm ready to lead myself. And the cool thing is, though, is when we start to lead ourselves, all of a sudden we find a bunch of people around us that want to grow with us. And I love it. I really think that's the big stamp of those leading others, is not only having that growth mindset for you, but wanting to see the people around you grow. And, you know, when we see that tip of the iceberg of like, you know, the success is here, but this is all the underlying things, we really do have to take that deeper dive into it. We have to keep our minds open to new perspectives, new ideas. Like you were saying before, like you guys, yes, you're planning all of the things in the kitchen, the menus, all of those skills. Those are skills that you guys are professionals at. You're amazing. But like you said, that you need something else from somebody else to give them those social emotional skills, those interpersonal skills. And that's where ELA comes in. And that's what collaboration is about. That's what being a leader is all about, is finding those people that can fill in the gaps that you don't have, and then embracing them.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, like we said, we don't like change as humans, very much so. But when we learn to really embrace it, to realize that, yes, this might be something different. This might be something new. It might be a little scary, but that's life. So if we can embrace it, if we can go into that growth mindset that, yes, I might try something new and it could fail. It could be not successful. It might be a big challenge. That's okay. It's even those failures, those challenges, it's pushing through those in that growth mindset. Those are opportunities to learn. Things that, yes, I did it this way and it did not work. So how can I adjust it for next time? But then taking that time to also, what did work? What can I use again? Or when there's skills that maybe we don't have, who can I reach out to? Because again, life is a collaborative effort. Nobody is an island.
100%.
So when we have areas, even as people in those traditional leader roles and leader titles, a true leader is someone that wants to learn from everyone around them. And the more that they can demonstrate that, the more that empowers their team to want to learn from everyone around there. Because we live in the world where there's such this myth that there's only a certain amount of success out there. That is so wrong. You know, as we start to learn and grow with each other, we want to take people with us. We can find people that have been on the path that we've done. How can we emulate it? How can we repeat it? That's part of that growth mindset, is not seeing that success as a threat. It's seeing as another way to learn, to grow, to get better as that individual.
I just love this. Oh my gosh, I could talk forever with you on this. So first of all, we know that Pisanick Partners has collaborated with ELA. You've been at our innovation academies. You're now at our cooking and conversations. But heck, when our schools have multiple PD days, it has been such a nice referral because, you know, we know what we're good at, as we said. We'll help you get your menu planned. We'll help you, you know, learn about your USDA approved software system. We'll cook with you. And many schools have multiple days. And so for our listeners, talk a little bit about how effective leadership goes into schools without, I mean, you guys, I love when they hire you with just you as a, you know, again, it's that marriage, like, you know, our family is helping us. We use the analogy, the rising tide lifts all ships. So like we love it. So the rising tide of Pisanick helping us go learn all the recipes, but then the ELA team building up their confidence to execute on it. Come on, that's like the best, right? The win-win. So you guys do work with schools and go in and do professional development training.
Indeed, we do. We do a lot of professional development in schools and in corporate businesses because, again, these skills of like having that growth mindset of giving ourselves space for that self-discovery, understanding tools to help us embrace change, they're not part of our traditional curriculum growing up.
Right.
So we like to come in there and just be really interactive. We give people that space to really try and explore themselves, not only as the worker there, but as that individual, because these skills are incredibly transferable. You know, we hear constantly the idea of, you know, we want that work and life balance. That's not true. We can't have a work and life balance. What we need to work towards is that work-life integration. How can our work be a reflection of our values in our regular life? How can our regular lives help inform us of what we want to do in the goals that we're setting for ourselves in our professional environment? So how can we take these things through tools like that, self-discovery, goal setting, mindfulness? How can we take those and then use them to become the best version of ourselves? And when we become the best version of ourselves, our teams become the best version of our team. So professional development, we get to work with a lot of young people, students in schools too, but I absolutely love working with the adults, probably more so than anything. Even with my background being with elementary students, it's the adults that, like, you know, we've been out in the world for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And sometimes when I go into the program, it's the first time people are like, oh, that's the first time I've been given permission to stop and think about me and how I work and what I need and what school skills I need to work on. So I love our professional development, and we're so appreciative of the connections that you guys have made with us, and, you know, getting to just impact so many people together and in tandem. Like, again, my mom and I are so thankful that we're part of Pisanick Partners and ELA because, again, it aligns with our values. So it makes the work just that much more special when I've got to get up at 6 a.m. to get out to the job.
Well, I will say, you know, we started by saying this sprinkling of this pixie dust. Boy, you do. You bring that light and that glitter and sparkle to the conversation and the passion. And, you know, they say if you don't feel like you just are working or have a job, you'll never work a day in your life. And I feel like you're right. When you find, you know, and that's what we encourage folks to think about, you know, why do you work in schools? Figure out your why. Because once you tap back into that, boy, it's easier to think about cutting up some fresh produce and putting out a rainbow produce bar, or trying a new recipe and talking to kids about it and getting feedback. I mean, when you are really engaged, you don't work. You experience growth together. You experience fun days. There's lots of laughter. I see those kitchens that thrive, and there's music playing generally, and everybody's laughing or dressed up in costume like Woodridge Middle School. You see Jess
having a good time
just having a blast. And who doesn't want a work environment that fills their bucket like that? Right?
Exactly.
One of the things I said, what is your most memorable ELA moment as it relates to school? I will give you, we talked about what part of the car are you or what part of the kitchen are you. I'm going to challenge you to come up with, because we talked about the rising tide lifts all boats. Like, I don't want to be on a sinking ship, right? What part of the ship am I? What can I do to help steer the ship in the right direction? But tell me, what is a fond or fun example memory that you have working for ELA in schools?
Yeah, and actually, that's a great one. And this one even relates to a nutritional professional. And I'm not just saying that, this really was. So I was at a school that they had a lot of new employees coming in, but they also had a lot of employees that had been there for a very long time. So they wanted us to do across the entire staff, teachers, support staff, certified, classified, bring everybody together so that the teams could really form and get to know each other again, more as humans, not just as workers in that school.
Sure.
So what we had asked participants to do was to bring in an item to the PD with them that represented them and that was very impactful for them, or that might reveal a little bit more about themselves that their coworkers might not notice. And I had a gal, she was a nutritional professional. She worked in the cafeteria, and she brought in her granddaughter's baby booties. And she said, these booties are so important to me because my relationship with my granddaughter is the most important one in my life. She's like, I love her so much. I'm so supportive. Like we just have such a close relationship. And that's a really big deal for me because I grew up in an environment that, was not very affectionate. We didn't hug in my household. We didn't tell each other we loved each other. And she's like, and so it's been such a big deal, my granddaughter helping me navigate these emotions that, in 60 years, I had never thought about. And she's like, we were to the point that, I even feel uncomfortable smiling at people sometimes. And at this point, the coworker next to her turned to her and had a response. And I want to give you a little context. So the nutritional professional, she was an older Caucasian woman working in the cafeteria. And this young man next to her is a male person of color, was a classroom teacher. So these are two people that have had incredibly different perspectives and experiences in life. They have incredibly different jobs just in the community that they are working in that school. But this was a way that they connected. And what he turned and said to her was, I used to smile at you when I started working here and you never returned it back. So I thought, you had a problem with me, that you didn't like me. And he's like, I'm sorry that I made that judgment, that I didn't stop to think maybe not everybody is as smiley as I am. And he's like, I feel like I've avoided you for the 3 years we've worked together. And I'm sorry that I made that prejudgment. And she turned around and goes, I'm sorry too. She's like, this is really the first time I've ever really stopped to think that, by not showing the body language of having that smile, I might have been conveying a message that I didn't like you, or that I was grumpy, or that I wasn't happy to be here. But really that's just who I am as a person. Like, that was something uncomfortable for me. And she's like, I really, I'm sorry that if I made you feel bad, I'm going to really work on, trying to smile more and be friendlier. And he turns and he goes, well, I really hope that I can be the reason that you smile more at work. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Like, is there a lot of dust in here?
Yes, I know. You should probably carry a box of tissues with you, I'm sure, some of these things.
And it is those moments, those just like very human connections that are at the root of not only my work, but all of our work, no matter what we're doing, whether it's menu planning or teaching reflection and interpersonal skills. It all starts with that human connection, being able to tap into something greater than the goal or the work or the paycheck, a human connection, that we're all people just trying to make it through the day. And when we give that space to each other to learn who we are as people outside of work, it goes such a long way into making that connection so that those teams work even better and function more collaboratively. And again, it's just a happy place for people to come every day that they've got to be at for 40, 50 hours a week.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Well, if you haven't been convinced, I've been convinced, but our listeners should be convinced ELA is, again, that impactful professional development partner that you need to consider if you're thinking about this for future, because I think so much can be accomplished by a good professional development that invests in people.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you so much, Maureen. I appreciate that. And I will say, like, we do get to see the very direct feedback. Like, being a nonprofit, we take a lot of data feedback, and we do have a lot of partners that we'll do a multi-series session with. And it is just so fulfilling. Like, when I hear somebody say something like, I'm going to start thinking about the perspectives of these students, that they all have things going on in their lives and I just never thought about it before. Or, I'm going to take that extra moment that next time I have a conflict with a colleague, I'm going to take a step back and be like, am I just not seeing it from their perspective? Do I just need to give them a little more grace? And again, it's just, it comes to just bringing us not together, not just as a team in our workplace, but our entire world.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody needs a big wraparound hug these days. Everybody does. Well, I could speak forever on this. I always end my podcast with a fun little challenging question. And because your mom works with us, this is extra fun because we always talk about school lunch in my house, and Hannah grew up that way. And I'm sure you grew up with your mom in the business. Tell me, what was your favorite school lunch and why?
Well, I will say, Maureen, I was a pretty boring eater as a child. My school lunch was always the classic peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh,
all through school. But I will say, perhaps if Pisanick had been in charge of those menus, I get to see and taste a lot of the things that my mom is putting out to these schools. And I was like, well, maybe if this was on the menu, I would have been more inclined to get out of my comfort zone and buy a school lunch. But yeah, so I'm kind of boring on there.
That's all right. It's not boring at all, because here's the thing. When we are thinking about planning our menus, having those classic alternatives on that really make the cafeteria a welcoming space for any eater is our goal at Pisanick. We know wholesome meals fuel healthy lives, and it's not nutrition unless they eat it. So we would put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich out there for you, Jake, even
I love to hear
with other choices to get a little more adventuresome. Well, but I just appreciate the time with you today, and also all the work that the team at Effective Leadership Academy does in collaborating with us. So from our hearts here at Pisanick to yours, thank you. And we wish you the best, really the best in success and moving the needle for schools, because we know you will.
Thank you so much, Maureen. And again, like, a thank you from us at ELA. Like, we love our partnership with Pisanick. It's been such a great way to collaborate and meet new schools. And it's very special for me that, like, me and my mother get to run a professional development together. Like, that is super cool. So a big thank you from...
Check it off the bucket list. Yes, I love it.
So a big thank you from us and the Hastings family as well to Pisanick Partners. Like, we love you all so much. And we're so thankful that we're able to collaborate. And again, that we're able to be part of organizations that truly align with our family's values and the mission that we're hoping to bring out to the world. So thank you, Maureen.
Wonderful. Well said. Thank you.